here, out here, out here. Straight up Cali, let's go. Straight up Cali, sun's blazing hot.
All right, welcome back to another edition of Leaders and Learners, where we all know that the best leaders are lifetime learners. And on today's episode, we're sitting down with Angeline Constantinou. She is an entrepreneur, a podcast host, and the unapologetic voice behind Let's Break the Silence. And after surviving years of emotional and financial abuse, she didn't just heal. She built a global platform for others that are going through the same thing. This is for women to speak out, to speak their truth, to really be seen. And today we're diving deep into what it really means to reclaim your power, to challenge the silence, and to lead with scars despite them. So without further ado, Angeline, hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you, Tanya?
I'm thrilled to have you. Let me be very transparent. These types of conversations they're tough. And if you watch social media enough, you will see that people will engage in mess and goofy stuff and unintellectual conversation and all the memes. But when you get to talking about things like this that are incredibly important, there's silence. And today I'm glad that you are here to break the silence. And my first question for you is, with everything that you have been through, how are you controlling the narrative about your story?
That's a good question. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yes, controlling the narrative. Yes. So thank you all for having me. Thank you for having me on your podcast. So how you control the narrative is, for me, it all started 17 years ago when I found myself in a very bad place. I was going through domestic violence, financial abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, and I realized that I had to take ownership. So fast forward 1 year later, the divorce happened, and I've always had a passion, a vision, and a dream to empower women to be unapologetically them and share their real life stories, because domestic violence is a subject, it's like a taboo. It's a taboo subject. No one wants to talk about it. And I always felt that it was already, that domestic violence, that topic was shoved under the carpet, only to come to realize that these women were suffering. They were suffering in silence for way too long. So I came up with Let's Break the Silence with Angeline, because today we are breaking the silence. And my podcast and my coaching has become a global movement, meaning all over London, Greece, you name it. My podcast has grown to 30 countries because, we have to change the narrative, and we have to speak out, and we have to speak up and share our real life stories, because we have the power to rewrite our stories and to claim victory in our lives. So for me, that's what controlling the narrative means. It's just like, taking ownership, realizing that you are in a toxic relationship, and making a plan to leave and to be safe. So my movement, I'm very proud that I started this movement, because there were some people who said, "Oh, you're crazy. Why do you want to do this?" and blah, blah, blah. But guess what? People are watching us. And lo and behold, you and I are connected, and we are, and I'm on your podcast. So it's building a global movement. It's all about building that global movement.
So let me ask you, there's a growing push. Okay. There's a growing push to monetize healing, coaching, retreats, content, all the things. And as a survivor and entrepreneur, I would like to ask you, where do you draw the line between healing and hustling? Like, where's that line for you? What is
That's a good question. Boy, that's a good question. Between healing, so drawing the line, healing is a process. You're not going to heal overnight. And the talk about the hustle and the grind and monetizing, the hustle, there's no such thing as hustle in my mind. To me, it's for me, the healing was an ongoing process. In fact, the last 3 years of my marriage, I focused on rebuilding my confidence and rebuilding my identity. I got myself involved in the online space and on Facebook at the time. And, it's not about the hustle and grind. It's not all about the hustle. So where you draw the line is in terms of the healing process. I hope I'm understanding this question correctly. That's something that is ongoing, and it requires peeling back the layers. So peeling back those layers, and it's an ongoing process. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So
I think
hopefully
it's more, I think I'm looking more at like, what won't you do for money? Like, where, for people that want to join in on the healing process and be a part of a community
right.
that is healing, someone that is in your position that is helping that happen, where do you say, I'm not going to take money for this? I'm not going to charge people for this. I'm not going to exploit people's pain and healing for a dollar, because people want to know. They want that community, but they want to make sure that they're not being taken advantage of, because at the same time, they probably have gone through financial abuse. They probably have gone through
Like me.
self-esteem issues, not trusting themselves anymore. For you as a professional and someone that is in this space now, where do you draw the line and say, I would never take money for what? Let them know.
Well, actually, I have a free Facebook community.
Yes, keep
Costs
talking.
nothing. It doesn't cost you anything to join my Facebook community. But where you draw the line is, I don't believe in, I believe in charging for my services, which I do. But on the other hand, in the beginning of my journey, I was offering free value. You have to offer a lot of free value, because there are women out there who have been financially abused, and some of them don't have a job yet, and they're looking to rebuild their life. So that's where the community comes in. That's where the community comes in to offer support. And if now, in the case of me, when I was going through my domestic violence, I had joined a community for free on Facebook, and I think it was called Breaking the Silence Against Domestic Violence. It was a free Facebook group with lots of resources, and I provide the same in my community. There are free resources, and I also offer a 1 hour a 1 hour breakthrough call that is for free. So because I want to learn more about where you are right now in your life and build that roadmap. And I offer that for free. Now, some coaches will charge a fee to do a breakthrough call. That's something that I don't do, because it's just, God put it in my heart to empower these women, because there's pluses and minuses, if that makes sense. I mean, some will charge $7 because you have skin in the game, and some will pay, $7, $10 or whatever. But for me, when I offer that breakthrough session, I don't charge any money, because I know that I've been in their shoes before. And, in some cases there were coaches who were coaching me and they weren't even charging me. So I want to do the same, but at the same time, when they're ready for a complete transformation, you have to build trust with them. Okay.
Yeah.
because they've lost the trust and belief. So it's up to myself or up to other coaches to build up that trust and belief, and not, it's not all about the money all the time. It's about creating impact.
When when survivors say the emotional abuse is worse than the physical, do you think that society still downplays the emotional trauma? Do you think that they just see past the emotional if they don't see any bruises and cuts? And why does it
That's an
seem
interesting
less
question.
valid? Why does it seem less valid?
Yeah, because I'll tell you why. Let me provide an example. So when I went through the emotional abuse is a lot worse than physical, believe it or not. Because your confidence and self-esteem, that's what they want to do. The abuser wants to, wreck and put you down, and that causes low self-esteem, and you're basically at the bottom of the pit. And I feel that some, like, law enforcement officers don't really enforce that. And in the beginning, that happened to me, meaning, like, they'll blow it off. We don't see any bruises. And that happens a lot. Especially, if you get called, if you call 911, and then the police officer, they come over and they say, well, we don't see any bruises. It was just a spat or something like that. So they downplay it. Yes. I believe that some officers do downplay it. But then, as time went on for me, the police officers believed me, because I told them that they didn't see the physical abuse, but in 1999, in December, I was lying flat on my back in bed, and I was crying because he was just being very, very abusive. And I got up and and I said I was going to walk in the other room. And then when I walked I didn't make it into the other room. He took me behind the neck and threw me against the wall, and I fell backwards. I was bleeding. Like, I thought I was going to die that night. And God was with me. And he took me to the emergency room, which is not unusual because that's what they do. So, and I was afraid to break the silence at the time and say that I was beaten up. So I guess, like for emotional abuse, some of them will downplay it. They'll say it's just a spat, just resolve it. Some family members will say, like, I remember my ex-father-in-law one time. He said, you know what? The two of you just sit down and talk about it. Like, oh yeah. I was like, OMG, like,
Totally me. He totally missed the point.
he
He missed.
totally missed the
It
point. And
went
so
way over his head. Way over his head.
way over his head. And so did my ex-sister-in-law. They both are up in heaven, but they downplayed it. They basically took his side. And
It's
that
funny you
made
bring
it
up.
worse.
It's funny you bring up your family. I do want to ask you, religion, culture, and gender roles and family history often kind of trap women in abusive dynamics, right? What role did
Yes.
any of these play in your story? And how do we start dismantling those types of confining roles?
Okay. Can you repeat the question again, if you don't mind?
So with family dynamics,
Mm,
religion, culture, and gender roles are some of the things that trap us in abusive relationships.
that's true. Okay.
Yes. So how do we get out of that when those are things that are a part of who we are? Those still might be the same things that are keeping us locked in these abusive relationships.
Exactly. Oh yeah, religion. Yes. So I was born and raised Greek Orthodox, and we were conditioned to believe that we had to stay married for better or for worse, for richer or poorer, until death do us part. And even though there was financial abuse and physical abuse and verbal abuse, I decided to draw a line in the sand and stand up for myself. And I even told the priest at the time, this was back when I was living in New York. I said, I am not going to suffer like this anymore. I, want a divorce, and I want to leave my abuser so I could build a brand new life for myself. And he actually agreed with me. So, in family dynamics, some family members will not support you. They're going to say, oh, no, you got to stay there or else. And I've heard other stories where women have told me, like they're at home because they don't have any money, and the family just like puts them down and says it's their fault. And when in reality, it's not their fault because they didn't cause the problem in the first place. So family dynamics and religion, they do play some role, but you can break, like for me, what I did was I I broke that generational curse. So, in a Greek culture, I said, I am not going to stay married because I was very unhappy, number one. And number two, I had lost my identity, my self-worth. And I said, I don't need to live like this anymore. I can stand in my truth and stand in my own power and be single again and thriving. And that's exactly what I did. So I broke that generational curse.
If you could speak today to your abuser, not with rage, not with, power, what would you say to him? What would you not give to him anymore?
Well, I would not give him the time of day. So, yeah, I wouldn't give him the time of day. I mean, he did what he did. And, like if I faced him, I mean, I don't know what I would say. I mean, honestly, I would just be like, oh my goodness, but I think I would just say to him, actually, what I would say to him?
What?
I would say, thank you, because look who I am today. So thank you, meaning that, you're, like for me, staying married was not the solution, but it molded me into the person that I am today. So that's what I would tell him.
Yeah.
I said, your actions molded me into the woman that I am destined to be. And that's it. That's all I would say. No other explanation.
I hear you. Short, brief, and to the point. I hear you. So why don't you tell the people how they can work with you if they need you, and how they can stay in contact with you, give them all your social media and handles and all those cool things, so that those that need and want your services, they can get at you.
Sure, absolutely. So for those of you who are struggling, feeling overwhelmed, feeling stuck, please book a call with me. And you can book a call with me through my website at letsbreakthesilence.com. There is a button up there which says book a call. So please book a call with me. It is a compassionate connection call, which I call that. So we can determine, so I can determine exactly where you're at. And I'm on all social media platforms. So I am on Facebook at Angeline Constantinou. On my Facebook business page is called Let's Break the Silence. And I'm on LinkedIn at Angeline Constantinou. I am also on Instagram at Let's Break the Silence. And also I'm on a lot of social media platforms, but my main platform that I focus on is Facebook. So that's where people can reach me, send me a friend request, send me a follow, and then go on to my website, because I like to have everything in one instead of posting multiple links. So letsbreakthesilence.com is where you can find me. And I also have a YouTube channel, which is called Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. It has grown to almost 2,000 subscribers. And I'm in my 6th season. And you believe it or not, there are women who have been in my community. You ready for this? for like 13 years because they've been following my journey. So one lady is actually going to be on my podcast show at the end of the month. She finally broke the silence, because all these stories that women share empower other women. That's the whole goal, is to empower other women. And also with my coaching program, I want to help you transform your life into the person that God destined you to be. I want to help you reclaim your power, because the best investment that you can make is in yourself. And working with me will be life-changing. One of my clients who lives in Australia, single mom, went through domestic violence. She went through my 9-week signature program, and it has changed her life, like totally changed her life, because there were a lot of beliefs that were holding her back. So, be prepared. It's going to be an amazing journey, because I know for me, when I went through mentoring and coaching, the healing techniques that I use, that I was taught from my mentor, I implemented into my coaching program, because it's peeling back those layers. That's the whole root. We get to the root of the problem. So that's how you can get in touch.
It's a blessing to have someone to talk to when you're going through the healing process. So I hope that those that are looking for someone to connect to, it happens with you, and if not with you, with someone else, because the most important thing is to get out of these situations. You can change your life. You can change the direction in which your life is going to. And no, you don't have to put up with this. So I want to thank you for being here and sharing your story with us. And I wish you all the best, and continue to control the narrative in your story. I love it.
That's right. Yeah. Control the narrative. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, thanks for showing up to the podcast where we all know that the best leaders are lifetime learners. When you get a sec, take a moment, leave a comment. What you think about today's episode, and share it with someone that you know could use the gems that were dropped today. Follow and subscribe. You don't want to miss who's coming up next. You never know who could show up here and what they could say. For your professional needs, marketing, PR, communications, and leadership, make sure you follow us on all social media platforms at Sand and Shores, or hit us up at sandandshores.com. Again, thanks so much for showing up. We appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.